Jacob, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Drew. But wouldn't more already disappear out of the holodeck?
I think the only thing holographic is your brain. No, you fool, we're going to review an animated movie on this here podcast.
Brilliant! No, wait. Why would anybody want to listen to two geeks like us?
Because, you fool, these people are so very easily entertained.
Okay, Drew. Narf!
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who learned to drive by taking a correspondence course, Jacob.
Why, thank you. Waka waka. I cracked myself up.
So does Fozzie.
Yeah, so does Fozzie all the time. Why, thank you. I'd like to introduce our co-host, a man, well, who just is looking for a spokesman for his frog legs. Welcome, Drew. Let me rephrase that. Be like he's a man looking for frog legs. Welcome, Drew.
Okay, look. I may be Southern, but I ain't never had frog legs.
You've never had frog legs?
I've never had frog legs. So
Okay.
I don't even know if they're good or not, but I think
They taste like chicken.
I'm what doesn't? But this movie kind of makes me... Okay. Thanks to this movie, anytime I think of the word frog legs, all I see are thousands of frogs on tiny crutches.
Now, after watching this movie, yes, I completely get that joke.
Yes. So, for those of you who are wondering what on earth we're talking about, later on in this episode, we will be reviewing the Muppet movie.
Yes.
But in the meantime, Jacob, how are you doing today?
I've been tired. Like, very tired. This morning, I woke up, and I just felt dead to the world. Be like, I went to bed at a normal time, about like 11 o'clock, 11:30, went to bed, got up at 6, and I could barely get my head off my pillow. How tired I was for some odd reason.
You didn't sleep well last night.
Apparently. But
that's what it sounds like.
Obviously. And so I finally got myself my keister out of bed and went to work and just be like how you let little bothersome things bug you and it ruins your day to a very small extent. But yeah, it'd be like it was a very good day after lunch, because lunch be like a meal or somewhat. Then I'd be like a full course meal, but be like it kind of helps calm everything down. Be like it's not as bad as you think it is, or maybe it's your perception that is the problem. But either way, get back from lunch and the power goes out. Have to shut the store down until about 3:30, and by the time we get everything back ready, be like, all I do is work for another 15 minutes and to go home. That's it.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, well, it was a very interesting day. Let's just say that in a nutshell.
Okay.
And overall, it was a very interesting day. How was yours?
Stressful. No, it's how do I put this in a way without actually saying what it is? Because I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about, especially on a podcast.
Yeah.
But essentially, there's been some shuffling of personnel at work, and we're just trying to get back to normal is all it comes down to.
Right.
And then doing so that just leads to stress. But I'm very happy to do this tonight. So, yeah.
Okay.
Believe it or not, this is not as stressful as work.
I can imagine.
So, Jacob, what have you been watching?
Oh, what have I been watching? Come to think of it, I obviously watched this movie for the review, obviously. And I know that our good friend Chase had us over on a certain day. And we watched a few things, or one or two things.
Primarily one thing. I'm drawing
it's an
odd name.
It is.
If you give me a second, I might find it.
Certainly.
Votoms.
That was weird.
No, that weird. That was the mech show.
Yeah, that was the mech show. Be like that was It was good for its time. It was very good for its time. There was there was like a couple of others we actually went through.
The other one we watched, because we only watched 2 shows.
Yeah, that is
true.
true.
We just watched a couple episodes of both shows.
That is true.
The other one was, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
Thank you. That was very cool. That was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Ever since I haven't seen the entire season, it was enjoyable to watch. Very much along the lines of the guy who's got all the girls crushing on him, and
I don't know. It never really felt like it was going into a harem.
Yeah,
it just felt like you had 2 girls who liked him, maybe 3.
Yeah,
3, I would say.
Maybe
but at
3.
the same time, only one do I think has a chance.
Yeah, that is true.
The other 2 aren't really trying.
Yeah, true. And watching that movie, it kind of made me realize, through the lens of our protagonist, is that we find ourselves so focused on I'm going to do this, but we don't see everything else around us. Mm-hmm. Maybe that one girl, that one lady who is maybe I want to get to know him better, but he's so focused on this, and that kind of gave me a different, not a different perspective, obviously, because I already knew it, but it kind of reinforced something to the extent of we get so focused on one thing that we don't see everything around us, or we get when we get down on ourselves or something like that. I'll have a tendency of doing that. I don't see. It's okay, I have all these people that do this, and it helps you open your perspective up a little bit more, and that was kind of helping in a way. Weird you get from an anime of all.
Hey, anime can be strong.
Yeah, I can. I can. It can.
I knew what you meant.
Yes. But either way.
All right.
So what have you been watching?
Well, along with those 2 shows you mentioned,
yes,
that we watched over at Chase's,
mm-hmm.
I also finished the first season after a year and a half of Agretzko.
Really?
If you remember, I talked about this on an early episode.
Yes,
I don't remember which one, but I finished the first season. It had a good ending. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it, and then for whatever reason, I picked up watching The Office again. Kind of a similar thing, but different.
Yeah,
but
it's got similar parallels.
Some is the word.
Yeah, some.
Not a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the Japanese raccoon who gets stressed out during work and goes to a karaoke and screams heavy metal.
Yes. And then I watched Michael Scott try to be Prison Mike.
Okay.
Or what was the other one? Threat Level Midnight. Agent Michael Starn. Or something like that. If you've never watched The Office, have you?
No, have not.
Oh, it's a funny show.
Okay.
I do suggest it. Bear in mind that first season of Michael Scott, Stephen Carell's character, is annoying.
Of course.
It gets better when you get to season 2 when they fixed his character. But yeah.
Cool.
That's what I've been watching.
All right,
what do we got in the news?
With the world as it is right now with Corona, and if you live in Texas, now things are starting to open up, and I know there's a lot of different states, and I know nationwide things are starting to open up a little bit more, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. Show. With that said, obviously DreamWorks, Universal has had its little spat with what is it? AMC?
AMC, yeah, and Regal, I think.
Oh, and Regal.
I think it's both chains.
Oh, okay. So, obviously this all started with Trolls World Tour is coming to Blu-ray, DVD, 4K Ultra on...
About 6 months early.
Maybe a little bit.
Because here's the thing. If it had its regular release...
Yes.
It might be leaving theaters by now. Maybe have another week or two, approximately. A month and a half since it came out.
Right.
And usually that means it's got another 3 to 4 months at least till they try to start. They try to start, pushing it, but that's going to put it into October. that's Halloween month. That's closer to when make more sense for Scoob to come out, to be honest.
Right.
That may would have had to come out in September, or maybe wait till November, maybe December.
Yeah.
Come out in time for Christmas. But I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Oh, okay. So it will be coming out digitally on June 28th. And then on a 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray, and DVD, and obviously on digital, on July 7th. In a very interesting edition. Dance Party Edition.
Oh, good night.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, people, I've not watched either Trolls movie. These movies could be good, and I don't even know it.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but they could be good.
That is a possibility. I've watched sort of 5-10 minutes of it.
I've watched whatever has been in the trailers.
I gotcha.
That's all I've watched. So
I gotcha.
I guess technically that would be about 10 minutes if you count both.
Yeah. Well, either way, that'll be coming out shortly. It'll be coming out shortly. And yeah, I did fail to mention one thing. We did watch a movie together, which was Scoob.
Yeah, that was this last weekend.
Yes, it was. So we had the opportunity to watch Scoob. We rented Scoob, and then we did a reaction to it. Mm-hmm. And so you can catch it now on your favorite podcast directory.
And YouTube.
And YouTube, of course.
Which is also where you'll find our a lot of a couple of our backlogged episodes, and all but one part of our gameplay session of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes.
And I will blame the missing of part 3 on me completely because I'm goofed. But anyway.
It happens.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's the news?
That is the news.
Okay, well then let's get into our spoiler-free review of the movie, The Muppet Movie.
Yes. Shall we?
So, this I know for a fact was one of those that my grandpa recorded off Disney Channel or some. It may not have been Disney Channel, but a channel. Mm-hmm. And I probably wore the VHS out.
Okay.
As a child. This and the next 2 Muppet movies I know I watched a lot as a kid. So I've probably seen this movie about 20, 30 times.
Okay.
I've seen it a lot, and not as much in recent years, of course. There's more to watch, but I've probably watched this a bunch as a kid. So this is a nostalgia trip for me in many ways.
Okay.
This was the first time, though, you'd ever watched it.
Yes.
Because you are not a big fan of the Muppets. I'm the one forcing you to get an appreciation of this property.
Yes. Okay. In my defense, obviously I had heard of the Muppets as a child. Mm-hmm. My first real experience of the Muppets was Muppet Babies.
Understandable.
Yeah. Which drove me absolutely bonkers at that age. So
and put a bad taste in your mouth, so you never tried any of the rest of it.
No, I didn't. So
this now being your second Muppet movie.
Yeah.
Is your opinion getting better?
Yes. I'd be like, most definitely.
Okay.
Yes, I would say most definitely it is giving me a greater appreciation for this this franchise. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this movie tremendously. It was a lot of fun. The wackiness, the journey of this film.
Yes.
And the conclusion is so just like, okay, that totally makes sense within the context of this film.
Yeah, amazingly, yes.
Yes, it does. It's one of those joys that it's like, okay, this is a little bit weird, and there were a few things I didn't quite understand.
We can touch on that later.
Yes, but
if even I can comment, because you might ask questions I have no idea.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend this. Now, you might have a few problems with like some of the cameos that show up in this film.
You might not recognize a bunch of them.
No, I didn't.
I recognize nearly, I'd say 75% of them from other movies of that time, though.
Yeah, that is true.
Most of them I can't tell you I watched on a theater screen.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So we'll get to that
here
in a minute.
We will.
So,
yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right.
I thoroughly enjoyed this film, and highly recommend it.
Okay, and we are both in agreement that the kids can watch this, correct?
yeah.
Even if they don't get some of the jokes?
Yeah, some of the jokes you probably, because it's in the late 1970s.
Oh, yeah. It's very much a product of its time.
Yes.
But
there's probably a lot of cameos, like definitely the cameo at the very end of the film. Like, kids are going to be like, who is this guy?
Doesn't matter who he is. He's the head of the studio.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Either way. Yeah. Highly recommend it. Go watch it. You can watch it on Disney Plus, and that's where I watched it. And
for those of you who know anything about the Muppet movie and the weird cuts that Disney has done recently with different showings on television and stuff, this is the full movie. They did not cut a thing out of this.
Well, that's good.
Well, okay, I'll just say it. There's apparently on an ABC Family airing of this movie, they cut out Kermit and Rolf's song. Probably mostly for timing.
Okay.
But I've heard some people say it's a bit sexist. I don't see it. But anyway.
Okay.
I don't agree with that statement. But anyway.
All right, yeah. So let's get into our spoiler field section.
Well, we will do that on the other side.
Yes, we will.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie The Muppet Movie. Listener discretion is advised. The Muppet Movie was directed by James Frawley, who is famous for directing the Monkees TV show.
Okay.
How's that for a connection you were not expecting?
I wasn't expecting that.
It was written by Jerry Jewell, who also wrote Muppet Christmas Carol, many episodes of The Muppet Show, and The Jim Henson Hour. It was also written by Jack Burns, who, along with writing a bunch of other stuff, played Deputy Warren Ferguson, which is the guy who replaced Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, didn't know that.
Music was by Kenny Asher, who wrote the music for the 76 A Star Is Born movie.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that may have gone forward, but I did not see his name in the new one. And Paul Williams, who, along with writing a bunch of music, includes Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas and the theme to The Love Boat.
Interesting.
The cast includes Jim Henson playing Kermit the Frog, Rolf the Dog, Dr. Teeth, Waldorf, Swedish Chef, Link Hogthrob, some of Doc Hopper's men. He is the creator, of course, of Sesame Street, The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, and The Muppets. Frank Oz plays Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Animal, Sam the Eagle, some of Doc Hopper's men, Marvin Suggs, and he's an assistant on the Swedish Chef Muppet, and played a motorcycle guy in this movie.
Okay.
He is, of course, Yoda in the Star Wars franchise, and he played the character of Alan Stevens in Knives Out.
Movie I still need to watch.
You do need to watch that. Jerry Nelson plays Floyd Pepper, Crazy Harry, Robin the Frog, Lou Zealand, Camilla, a blue frackle, and he is known for playing Count Von Count on Sesame Street. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
One,
That's
two,
right. Now, in my defense, we didn't have Sesame Street growing up, so I know who the character is, but most of what they do on Sesame Street, I'm like,
David Goles played the Great Gonzo, Zoot, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, Dog Lion, an Iraqian in El Sleazo Cafe, Nigel, and a pig in this movie. He also is known for playing Earl Sinclair on the television show Dinosaurs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim Henson
that makes sense.
Did that show too.
Yes. Okay.
Charles Durning plays Doc Hopper, and he played Pepe O'Daniel in Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was the same guy.
I didn't either.
You have seen Oh Brother?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw it once.
We need to make you watch it again.
Okay.
Okay. Austin Pendleton plays Max, and he played the character Gurgle in Finding Nemo. I don't remember which character this is.
Me either.
But that's okay, because apparently Austin Pendleton hated being in this movie, from what I understand.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, yeah. Shame on him. Okay, now into the cameos.
Okay.
This is a mighty long list.
That it is.
Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy play themselves.
Okay.
And yes, Edgar Bergen is a ventriloquist and Charlie is his dummy, but...
That's right. Okay. I was like, who in the world are you talking about?
You know, they played the judges in
That's
this movie at
yeah.
the Bogan County Beauty Contest.
Yes.
But yeah, they are... Admittedly, you can tell this is one of Edgar Bergen's last performances because you can actually see his lips move when he's doing when he's performing as Charlie, which is a little disappointing, but I mean, he's old. He was an old man at the time.
Yeah.
Still, it's amazing he was able to do that.
Yes.
Milton Berle played Madman Mooney, the used car salesman.
Okay.
And in the movie It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, he played J. Russell Finch.
Okay.
Mel Brooks played Professor Max Krassman.
Oh, he ate that one up so much.
He was
so good.
He directed and wrote Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and co-wrote Young Frankenstein and directed that.
I didn't realize he directed it.
Yeah, he directed it. It was written by him and
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, yes. James Coburn played the El Sleazo Cafe owner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was Britt in The Magnificent Seven and Sedgwick in The Great Escape.
Huh.
Dom DeLuise played Bernie the Agent.
Yes.
He is, of course, Itchy in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yes.
Among many other movies.
Yes.
That we have gone over on this show a couple
we
times. Elliot Gould played the beauty contest announcer.
Yeah.
He was Trapper John in the movie MASH.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the movie in a long time.
Bob Hope played the ice cream vendor. And in the movie Son of Paleface, he played Peter Potter Jr.
Peter Potter Jr. Okay.
Yes. Madeline Kahn plays the El Sleazo patron. She was Mrs. White in Clue, Elizabeth in Young Frankenstein, and Lily Von Stupp in Blazing Saddles.
Ah, okay. I'm seeing a connection.
Might be a tough couple here.
Yeah.
They might have been hiring comedic actors
Just
actresses.
a little bit.
Speaking of which, Carol Kane played Myth.
That's okay. I was like, Carol Kane. I'd be like, I saw it. It was like, Carol Kane. Who the world was Carol Kane?
Well, in the Princess Bride, she played Valerie, which was Miracle Max's witch.
Oh, okay. I definitely would not have recognized her because she was wearing so much makeup in that movie.
Yeah.
Or heavy prosthetics.
Cloris Leachman. Hang on. I'm trying to get back up here. Sorry. Not find my iPhone. I know where my iPhone is. Okay. Cloris Leachman played the secretary at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
She is, of course, known for playing in the movie Young Frankenstein. She plays Frau Blucher. She was also played the character of Gran in The Croods.
Oh, okay. Now, with that scene itself, I found that so incredibly cruel that they show up for the audition. They're going to meet the head of the studio. It's like, no, you can't come in without a...
They didn't even say you could come in with an appointment. He was just busy.
Yeah, he was just busy and be like, it's like, oh, I'm allergic to animal hair. And what do? They start shaking their hair all over the place, making this woman just miserable beyond belief. Just let them in. It's like,
oh yeah,
you Muppets are so cruel.
Steve Martin played the insolent waiter.
Yes. Love this performance.
And he was Neil Page in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, my.
And Lucky Day in The Three Amigos.
Oh. Arriba.
Richard Pryor played the balloon vendor. He was Gus Gorman in Superman 3 and Grover in Silver Streak. Telly Savalas played an El Sleazo tough. He is Blofeld in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And he played Archer Maggot in The Dirty Dozen. And he played Lieutenant Theo Kojak in the television show Kojak.
Gotcha.
Orson Welles,
of course,
plays Lou Lord. He is he played Unicron in the Transformers the movie.
I am highly disappointed.
And Citizen Kane in Citizen Kane.
Yes.
And last and most certainly not least, Carol Spinney plays Big Bird.
That's right. Okay.
And he is also the puppeteer on and the voice of Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street. Along with Big Bird. So, what do we got in the box office and other novelties?
All right. So I'm going to call this this segment called Info. Going to give us a little info on.
So we're now on our 5th title for this segment.
Yes,
but
we are.
That's all good.
Yeah, it's be like.
So what is the info on this movie?
All right. So on IMDb, it has a 7.6 rating. Mm-hmm. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 88%. So that's very good. Mm-hmm. And its audience score is the exact same, which is something I have not seen thus far.
This is a well-liked movie.
The very, very well-liked movie.
By the people who like it.
All right. So production, it came down to 2 companies, which was ITC Entertainment or the Incorporated Movie Company.
Yeah.
And the Jim Henson Movie, which Jim Henson Company. Let's say that.
Because it wasn't Jim Henson Productions yet.
No.
Jim Henson Pictures yet.
No, it wasn't yet.
This was the same 2 people who were also funding the Muppet Show.
Really? Yes, that is right. You're completely utterly...
Because this movie came out between, I think, season 3 and 4 of Muppet Show.
Yes, it did. I think it's like 1 and 2. Between
Maybe.
1 and 2 and 1 into 3.
2 and 3. I don't remember. But anyway.
One of those.
It came out while the Muppet Show was still on the air.
True. So, obviously, the Jim Henson Company is very well known for, obviously, the Muppet Show. Mm-hmm. Fraggle Rock, which I remember I don't remember too well as a child, but I remember it was very funny. Mm-hmm. The Bear in the Blue House.
Yeah, Bear in the Big Blue House, which I think was a Disney Channel original show.
Yes,
or
it was.
Or Disney Junior.
Yeah, one of those. I heard so much about it, but obviously I was already basically an adult when that came out.
The main reason I know about it was when I read that Disney bought the Muppets and the Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah.
Like those were equal properties.
Yeah. Weird, right? So also theatrically, this also includes obviously the Muppet movie, which we're reviewing today, The Dark Crystal, which we'll review eventually, and Labyrinth.
And should also include Muppets Take Manhattan and The Great Muppet Caper, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Ooh, that'd be a good one to do. Labyrinth.
We should think about that. I'm putting that on the list. That or Dark Crystal. I think Dark Crystal might be better to start with.
Yeah, that's true.
Before we get into the Magic Dance.
Yes. I like that movie. It was really good.
Anyway.
All right. So distributor was Association Film Distribution. Mm-hmm. Obviously, right now it's being distributed through Disney.
Because Disney pretty much got all the rights to the Muppets, with the exception of anything that was still owned by another company.
Yes.
That was not Jim Henson Productions connected to the Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
The big 2 items that includes is Muppets Take Manhattan and Muppets from Space.
Yes.
And they did not get Dark Crystal or Labyrinth.
Huh.
Disney does not own those.
Really?
Because they're not Muppets.
That is true.
They're not even called Muppets by the Jim Henson Company. So
that is true. So who owns them? That's the question.
I think Sony's got the distribution rights because because they had the distribution for Muppets Take Manhattan also.
Okay.
I'm sure that was all in that same sort of deal because I think they have both. I can look on my Labyrinth book case in there, but I'd have to go find it.
Okay.
But I believe that's Columbia.
Okay.
Columbia TriStar, which is Sony.
Okay. I got you. All right. So we got that out of the way. Mm-hmm. All right. So it was released on June 22nd, 1979 in the USA. Mm-hmm. It had a budget of $8 million. Mm. Now, when it comes to its domestic gross and its international gross, there's not a real solid figure to it. And so,
not for this time period.
No, not for this time period. So for both, it earned $65.8 million.
I'd say it got its budget back.
Yes, definitely,
and a lot more.
Yeah, definitely that time period. Mm-hmm. Yeah, look at I think it was Jaws. Jaws was only made in 1970. 76, 76, 77. Be like that movie broke it was it broke $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know to modern audience, you make $1 million, be like, okay, you failed at the box office.
But for 1979,
yes,
that was good money.
That was such good money. That was so good.
And that's one of the things you have to remember about the Muppets.
Yes.
Up until the 90s,
yeah,
the Muppets were as big as Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny.
True.
In terms of anthropomorphic animal characters. It's not until the 90s where that fall off happened for, honestly, who knows what reason.
Yeah.
Mostly because the only thing they had on that most people saw was Muppet Babies.
Yeah, that is true.
Not that I don't like Muppet Babies, it's just, it's not as good as it could be.
Yeah.
Either Muppet Babies, although I hadn't really watched the new show. Because why would I?
So, yeah, that is what is in the info or whatever we're calling this.
Next week.
Next week. We'll figure it out.
Or week after next.
Yes.
Or I think it would be next week for the listeners, but anyway.
Yes.
So let's get into this movie's summary.
Go for it.
The film begins with the Muppets sitting down at a private screening to watch a movie that tells the story of how they all met. Kind of.
Sort of.
Yeah. Kermit the Frog lives a simple life in a Florida swamp. One day, he enjoys an afternoon playing his banjo and singing Rainbow Connection when he is approached by Bernie, a talent agent who encourages Kermit to pursue a career in show business. Inspired by the idea of making millions of people happy, Kermit sets off on a cross-country trip to L.A., but he is soon pursued by entrepreneur Doc Hopper and his assistant Max, who attempt to convince Kermit to be the new spokesfrog of Hopper's struggling French fried frog legs restaurant franchise. Unwilling to accept Kermit's refusal, Hopper resorts to incredibly forceful means of persuasion. Kermit meets Fozzie Bear, who is working as a hapless stand-up comedian, and Kermit invites Fozzie on his journey. The two set out in Fozzie's 1951 Studebaker. In an old church, they meet the rock band Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem and the band's manager, Scooter, and they give a copy of the film's script to the band. Driving on, they meet and are joined by Gonzo and his girlfriend, Camilla the Chicken. They trade in their failing vehicle at a used car lot where they meet Sweetums. They invite Sweetums to come with them, but he runs away. Thinking he does not want to come, the others drive away only for Sweetums to emerge and reveal that he had only run away to pack his things. The group meets Miss Piggy at a county fair, and she immediately becomes love-stricken with Kermit. When Kermit and Miss Piggy meet for dinner that night, Hopper and Max kidnap Miss Piggy as bait to lure Kermit. When Kermit arrives at the designated location, mad scientist Professor Craftsman tries to brainwash Kermit into performing in Hopper's advertisements. But an enraged Miss Piggy knocks out Hopper's henchman and causes Craftsman to be brainwashed by his own device.
Piggy Kung Fu!
However, immediately after the fight and saving Kermit, Miss Piggy receives a job offer and promptly abandons a devastated Kermit. But then the film projector overheats the film, and the Swedish chef fixes the film and returns back to the screening. Joined later by Rolf the dog and reunited with Miss Piggy, the Muppets continue their journey to Hollywood, but their car breaks down in the desert. Sitting at a campfire, the group sadly realizes they will likely miss the audition the next day. Kermit wanders off, ashamed for bringing his friends on a fruitless journey. But some personal reflection restores his commitment. He returns to camp where he discovers the Electric Mayhem have come to their rescue, having learned of their plight by reading ahead in the script. The Mayhem offer to drive the entire group the rest of the way in their bus. The group is warned by Max that Hopper has hired an assassin, Snake Walker, to kill Kermit. Kermit decides to face his aggressor and proposes a Western-style showdown in a nearby ghost town. There they find inventor Bunsen Honeydew and his assistant Beaker. Kermit confronts Hopper with an appeal to Hopper's own hopes and dreams, but Hopper is unmoved and orders his henchmen to kill Kermit and his friends. They are saved by one of Dr. Bunsen's inventions, Instagrow pills, temporarily enlarging Mayhem drummer Animal into a giant, frightening away Hopper and his henchmen for good. Once the Muppets reach the Hollywood studio, they finally meet studio executive Lou Lord, who signs the Muppets to a standard rich and famous contract. They attempt to make their first movie as a pastiche of their journey. The first take goes awry when Gonzo crashes into the prop Rainbow and an explosion blows a hole in the roof of the studio. As the Muppets stand in stunned silence, a natural rainbow shines through the hole and onto the Muppets. Joined by the other Muppet characters, the Muppets sing the final verses of the Rainbow Connection Reprieve before Sweetums crashes through the movie screen in the theater, ending the film and catching up with the rest of the crew as they congratulate each other on their performances.
Oh, what a nutty synopsis that very well defines this movie.
Pretty much. So, if you don't mind, I would like to go first on the likes.
Rip into it.
I love that this is a road trip movie.
I do. Agree.
This is road trips are always a fun concept that you don't get to see often because I think so many people just really don't know how to do road trips that well. And plus, they're expensive to film.
They are.
For one thing, because you've got to be in a bunch of different locations. This movie, though, was entirely filmed in Nevada and California.
Makes sense.
Because there's enough area over there that looks like different parts of the country.
True.
Except for the swamp.
Yeah.
I don't remember where they filmed the swamp. But I don't think they went to Florida. But they could have.
You never know.
I could be wrong there. But the road trip aspect of this movie and all the crazy hijinks they get in along the way, including going from... I'm assuming the El Slizo Cafe, like Kermit's Swamp, is also in Florida.
Yeah.
But so they go from there to Rhode Island, according to the song.
Bing.
To,
Bing.
To Saskatchewan.
Bing.
Yeah. Fozzie gets confused as to why the sun is coming up in the west. They literally turn left at the fork in the road.
Quite literally.
That is one of my favorite songs, too, by the way. But then later on, as they meet up with Gonzo and all them, and as the chaos slowly builds, only for it to kind of fall apart when the car breaks down there in the desert.
Yeah.
And you're going, they were so close. Oh, yeah. They gave the band the script so they could come save them later on. It's a weird plot point, but it's one of the most important in the movie. Fun thing, did you notice that when they hand the script to the band at the beginning, the cover is still kind of plain? It just has the title.
That's
nothing else
right.
on it.
Yeah.
But when they bring the script out at the campfire,
yeah,
they've drawn all over it.
Yeah.
Which was funny. I thought, oh, that's an interesting little detail that you didn't have to do.
Yes.
And then, of course, you get the showdown in the ghost town between Kermit and Doc Hopper. And, of course, Kermit has somehow found a small enough cowboy hat to fit on his head, plus boots and spurs.
Yeah.
I don't know why he has any of this stuff, but it works for the scene. Only for it to go to a giant animal head coming out of the building. And it's like, wow. You know what? That makes sense. Let's keep going.
Yeah. How many pills did animal take?
I'm guessing the whole jar.
I guess so.
That's my guess, but I don't know. The crazy hijinks that ensue with the movie, everyone they meet, every one of these villains they defeat, just makes this movie so much fun.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's my first like.
Okay. My number one, actually, like in the middle of this conversation, I changed mine because originally I was going to do the cinematography. The cinematography in this movie is great. Mm-hmm. It's very well done. It keeps, I don't know if this the version I watched is a remastered.
The Disney Plus version is the same one that's on the newest Blu-ray, and Disney did do a full 1080p remastering a couple years back.
Okay.
Maybe 4K, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, but either way, it looks spectacular. But what I wanted to bring up was the fourth wall breaking. This movie, all throughout the film.
Congratulations, you have just touched on my second like. But we will get to that in a minute. Okay,
so the fact to be like, obviously for our more modern audience, the idea of the
fourth
wall break is so common with like the likes of Deadpool, and just all of these others, but the way they execute the fourth wall break in this movie
it's almost like the fourth wall isn't even there.
No, it's not. Because it'd be like, most of the characters will talk to the audience.
Well, and
definitely Kermit.
Here's the thing, though, about the Muppets is you have to remember the original Muppet show that technically all these movies are based on, even though many of the characters predate the Muppet Show by 2 or 3 decades.
Right.
Or 1 or 2 decades, actually. Because, anyway, it was designed as a stage variety show.
Right.
So them turning and talking to the audience is normal.
Yes.
So it makes sense they do it here when they hit bumps and they have to go, oh, well, yeah, this is it.
Yeah. Like I said before, how they executed the fourth wall breaks of where, like you said, it's supposed to be originally a stage show.
Yeah.
And now understanding that better, because I never saw them. I've never seen the show or its other incarnations. This was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was more kind of threw me for a loop. It's like, wait, Kermit's talking to us or Miss Piggy's talking to us or something like that. But it was a real treat to actually watch that. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, my number 1 is the fourth wall break.
So officially, my number 2 is meta humor.
Okay,
but a lot of that is dealing with the fourth wall breaks.
Yes.
But a lot of things such as I also include in that is the running gags that come out of that should not be able to follow them and yet do.
True.
Much like myth.
Yes.
That's a myth. Myth. Yes. Among with another one that I'm not going to bring up because that'll come up later because I actually don't like that joke. But anyway.
Okay.
I will blame the Muppets for my love of meta humor.
I could tell
because honestly, I don't think I'd have gotten into it as much if I wasn't so used to it from this show, from this movie, and the original show itself. But the way they even rip on the cameos that show up, it almost feels like every person who had a cameo in this movie wrote their own material, and they ain't just left it in there after they maybe cleaned it up. Especially Mel Brooks.
Yes,
Mel Brooks is Dr. Crossman, which you can tell is his it's his German that's somewhat Nazi-ish, but he's Jewish, so he can make those jokes.
Yes.
You can tell that's his type of character. They don't make a reference to it, but they do a couple of things. It's like, oh, you're obviously the stereotypical evil German scientist, but yet this is still funny.
So true.
But all those things coming together, ending with
Orson Welles?
Orson Welles is part of it. I mean, mostly I was referring to the fact that the entire movie is bookended in the fact that the Muppets are watching a movie that now we're watching with them.
Yes.
Even though we don't get to hear their commentary, which I would have liked to hear, but I'm kind of also glad we didn't.
Yeah.
So that being, and plus this is one of those movies, and I love it when movies do this. The movie doesn't end just because the credits started.
Yeah.
They're still movie going while the credits are showing.
I thought that was ingenious.
And ends when Animal tells you to go home.
Go home!
I love that.
Yes, that was so good.
And the fact that it ends, you get this big, one thing, you get every Muppet ever created on screen at one time.
Yeah, at that time, yes.
Which includes both the Sesame Street Muppets, the Muppet Show Muppets, the Fraggle Rock
I didn't realize this. Yeah.
That scene is in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Really?
For most number of puppeteers on stage at one time.
Wow, okay.
Because they wanted to get every character they had.
Wow.
And they had to hire every puppeteer in California onto the stage for this one scene. And you get this great, cool scene.
Yeah.
Only to be interrupted by Sweetums coming through the screen. Which is like, oh yeah, I almost forgot about you.
Hey, Sweetums.
But yeah, I love the meta humor in this.
Yes.
And it's...
Okay. Would be the cameo of all cameos. That's kind of a meta joke in itself. Big Bird shows up.
Yes.
Who's walking to New York for a TV audition.
Because he wants to break into public television. Here's the better part. Were you paying attention to the song as he was walking away?
No.
The line literally goes, "We're like birds of a feather." And it doesn't leave, the image doesn't leave Big Bird until after that line. They leave it on there. It's like, hey, Big Bird, we're going to talk about birds, and then we'll move away from Big Bird. It is a great cameo. It is not the last Sesame Street cameo that they got in, because both Muppets Take Manhattan and Muppets Great Muppet Caper, both have quick cameos by Sesame Street Muppets.
Oh, okay. I found it to be like, there again, haven't seen the movie before, and obviously Jim Henson created Sesame Street.
Yeah.
And so obviously you would have one of his characters, his most iconic character from that show.
Plus, Carol Spinney is probably the only one of the quote-unquote Muppet performers who's only ever did Sesame Street.
Really?
He was never a character on the Muppets, in the Muppet franchise. He only did... The two biggest ones he's known for is Carol Spinney and Big Bird and the Grouch, and that's the only... he never did. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Always I could be wrong, but I don't think he ever even did a minor character on the Muppets.
Wow.
I think he was that focused on doing those two characters and the other characters he did on Sesame Street.
Okay.
And it is sad that he's no longer with us, because he is a great actor.
Yeah. Yeah, I just the fact that these two characters, these two franchises, see each other on a road, say hi, then keep going.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm going to Hollywood, I'm going to New York. And I thought that was the greatest little, cameo, meta humor, what have you, crossover between, Jim Henson's creations. And just be like, oh, we're going to go our different ways to, make it big. I thought that was ingenious.
All
right. So what is your number?
My third like is the music in this movie. Mainly the big songs. So when you're looking at this, you've got a lot of the big ones. You've got Rainbow Connection, the most well-known Muppet song outside of It's Not Easy Being Green.
Right.
You got Moving Right Along, which is still one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
The rest of them are not quite as good, but they're still good.
Gotcha.
The only one I really don't like is Miss Piggy's song, and I think that's just because I have never been a big Miss Piggy fan.
Yeah.
I appreciate what she does on the show, but I'm never been a fan of the character herself.
I gotcha.
So her singing her love ballad to Kermit, admittedly, as a kid, that was when I got distracted by other things until that song went off.
Oh, yeah.
So until I was an adult,
yeah,
I didn't see Kermit getting dragged all over in these love scenes, because Miss Piggy is going so fast, she keeps running him over, and he keeps drowning in the pond, and she won't pull him out. I didn't see that until about 5 or 10 years ago.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, okay, this is ingenious, but at the same time, I still hate this song. And I think I'm Going Back There Someday that Gonzo sings is still one of the prettiest songs probably in the last 30 years.
Sure.
For what it is. I mean, it's not as memorable because I don't remember it until I watch the movie again, but it's still a pretty song. And here's the interesting thing.
Right.
There is in Muppets from Space, which is primarily about Gonzo. They use that song as kind of his motif throughout the movie. His character motif.
Really?
Yeah.
So I did want to bring up one thing.
Okay.
When watching this film and you describing, the one song you dislike, it made me think, it's like, wait a minute. Okay. A pig falls in love with a frog. I see one problem with this. Pigs are omnivores.
You're reading too much into it.
Yeah, so if Miss Piggy really got hungry, be like, bye, Kermit.
You are reading too much into it.
I know. I thought it was a really funny joke.
You're reading way too much into it.
Oh, I love you, Kermit. Oh. Nom, 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 nom.
Just wait till we get to a later Muppet movie and they actually talk about the weirdness of that relationship.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a weird relationship.
Yeah, so I guess now we can move into our dislikes. So you want to go first?
Sure. All right. So this is, I know it's the limitation of the media in itself. The medium. Thank you. In the medium itself. The basically jumping from set to set to set to set. And I understand why they did it, because it's puppets. But like you need.
I think that's part of it, but at the same time, the writing at this time was very much because they were used to writing skits for the Muppet Show.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was still the thought process going into this movie.
Oh yeah,
was we've got a skit where Kermit's talking to an agent at on the swamp, and now Kermit's riding a bike through town and nearly gets destroyed by a steamroller.
Yeah,
or as he says, he nearly is gone with the Schwinn. Still one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, that was very good.
And then you move on to the El Sleazo Cafe.
Yeah.
And you get that skit. And then that's really what it comes down to. Is they are going from skit to skit to skit. And I think that's why we get to my first dislike in this. And that's the fact that you can tell in their writing of the skits, they realized they had no way of getting from the Max Krassman. Yeah, the Dr. Krassman, the evil German scientist skit, and the end of the movie.
Yeah,
there's a big jump in the time, and which I dislike that's what they had to do.
Agreed.
I will still cough that up to. This was the first movie any of these people had ever done.
Agreed.
So I give them a pass there, but you can tell that they haven't broken from that mindset yet.
Yeah,
they realized they had a problem about midway through the script, and the only way they could resolve it was let's have the film break.
Yeah, there we go.
It works, and that gives us an excuse to have the Swedish Chef somewhere in this movie because we couldn't fit him in anywhere else.
Yeah, and also to kind of bounce off your point was the fact that we have Miss Piggy goes off.
And then comes back literally 5 seconds later. Because obviously we missed a part of the movie because the film broke.
Yeah, that was just like, huh? I was like, okay, we'll just chop it up to that. Literally, chop it off to that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I actually said my first dislike with yours also. So what's your second dislike?
So I really don't have...
I've got one you maybe hadn't thought of.
Okay, go for it.
My second dislike is the Hare Krishna running gag.
Okay.
You do know what I'm referring to?
No, I do not.
Okay, so 3 times in this movie, someone says something about being lost, and the other person replies with, have you tried Hare Krishna?
Okay, I did not get that joke whatsoever. That's the reason why.
Yeah, actually, they say it twice, and the third time it's on the sign outside of the church where they find Dr. Teeth. There's a sign that says, lost, try Reverend Hare Krishna.
Yeah. I was totally lost. I was like, huh?
A, that joke does not age well.
Okay.
B, I know nothing about the religion. I just know I don't like it.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't think that joke aged well. It's not even, I don't think it's that funny to begin with.
Okay.
And I kind of just wish they had not done that because I think that, among a lot of, that unfairly dates the film.
Yeah.
In a way that the rest of the jokes really don't.
I got you.
That makes sense. So I'm guessing since you didn't have a second dislike, you don't have a third.
No, I do not.
I do have a third.
Okay.
'Cause I actually was trying to think, make sure, because I know how much I love this movie.
Yeah, you were trying to think. You were being critical about
it. Yes,
it.
trying to be critical. And here's the most critical part of it. Remember what I said about that time jump?
Okay.
Being annoying? Mm-hmm. That is probably the biggest evidence that this movie story is a bit weak.
Agreed.
And I would say it might be the weakest written story of the Muppets franchise. Now that seems like a bad thing when you hear it.
Right.
I want to point out that almost every Muppet movie I place probably in the upper 20% of liked movies that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That is really good.
That I'm saying this movie, the weakest, I think has the weakest story.
Yeah.
Just because it's at the bottom of the list of Muppet movies doesn't make it put it in a bad spot overall.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly think, obviously we saw Muppet Christmas Carol. That has a much better story, mostly because Charles Dickens wrote it, and they did an expert adaptation of it. Muppet Treasure Island, which was the one after that, it was, of course, written by Robert Louis Stevenson, and they adapted that. The other 5 movies.
Yeah.
I had to stop. I think it's 5. You got Muppets Take Manhattan, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets from Space, The Muppets, and Muppets Most Wanted. 5 movies. Okay. The other 5 movies are at least original stories,
Okay.
but they are written better.
Okay.
I don't know a better way to put it than that.
That makes sense, actually.
But here's the weird thing. As much as I don't like how weak this story is,
Yeah.
it's and admittedly, one of these Muppet movies I've seen one time.
Okay.
And it was a long time ago. And it was Muppets from Space. I've only seen it once, and I don't remember if I liked the movie that much or not.
Yeah.
And so I think I've kind of put it below the Muppet movie up until this point. Maybe when we get around to doing Muppets from Space, that will change.
Okay.
But because I think I liked this movie better than Muppets from Space. But maybe that could be nostalgia talking. It could be poor memory talking. I don't know. But yeah, I hate that this is actually the weakest movie in the franchise. Now, admittedly, I am also not counting the numerous made-for-TV specials.
Okay.
Because there are a ton, and I don't know all the names of them.
Okay.
And I've only seen maybe a handful just because of timing and such. And a lot of these are hard to get a hold of nowadays for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my third dislike.
All right, then.
So let's get into our rating of this movie. What is your rating, good sir?
All right. My rating would be, I'm going to give it a good solid 8.
Okay.
It's an enjoyable film. Yes, it does have its weakness in its writing, or it's how it's staging and its writing, because they literally have to jump through a hoop in order to get to this point.
Yes.
Literally breaking the film in order to get there. Besides that, you have such the creativity, the characters, the humor, the meta humor, the cameos, despite its script being weak, its structure being weak, it's still a very good movie.
Oh yes,
incredibly well done. Such imagination went into this film, and I enjoy it for that, because sometimes it'd be like you have people that they can't look past, like the movie we just recently did with Scoob. People, the reviews I have read and seen, that people could not get past the fact this was not a mystery, that Scoob was not a mystery movie.
It was kind of a mystery. We knew who it was the whole time.
Yeah.
It wasn't a classic Scooby mystery, but...
Yeah, I think it was just more people could not get over the fact of, wasn't a classic Scooby-Doo story. No. But the exact same way,
it was a 2-hour Hanna-Barbera cartoon that happened to star Scooby-Doo as its primary lead.
Right.
That's what it was.
And see, people, either way, it's a good movie. Story-wise, meh. Movie-wise, amazing. Amazing movie. What about you?
I'm giving it an 8.5.
All right.
Like I said, there's a lot of nostalgia riding on this movie for me. I enjoy this movie a lot. It's even that weak point of them breaking the film literally to get to the next scene, because they really had no way of getting from one point to the other. Right. I think even with that even that works for the film. That is a very Muppety thing to do in a movie, even though I think on the whole it doesn't work that well. It kind of works for the Muppets, because I can see something like that happening in the Muppet Show. Okay. Even with that, I mean, this movie does a lot of good things, and especially when you consider this is probably the first movie with puppets that close to the screen. Yeah. To the point where in the film you can actually see the fuzz on Kermit's body and the foam that makes up Gonzo's nose. Yeah, you can see the little the holes, I guess is what you call that. Yeah, you can tell it's made out of foam, rubber. Foam is what it comes down to. When they're that close to the screen, you would think that would break, and in this movie, it doesn't. No, and I love that technical achievement on its own is amazing, because honestly, it was amazing they got this to work on TV in the first place. Making the step up to where, this is going to work on a movie theater screen, and it's still believable. Yeah. That's the weird thing about the Muppets. You go into it knowing they're puppets, right?
Correct.
You know it. There is no amount of trickery they can do to make you think that these are anything but puppets. And yet, I don't think of Kermit the Frog as being controlled by Jim Henson when I'm watching the movie. I think of it as Kermit the Frog. I think of it as Miss Piggy, not someone controlling them. Mm-hmm. I consider that an achievement in and of itself.
Yeah.
The fact that, yes, I know it's all fake, but it's a believable fake. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
It does.
And this movie was the first movie to achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I'm giving it an 8.5.
All right, excellent.
So, normally, right now, now that we've reached the end of the review, we would be rolling to find out what our next movie is. Here's the thing. On the list right now, 4 of the spots go to Aladdin.
Yes.
Would you agree that we should just rub the lamp and get these 4 spots took care of and move on from there?
Yeah.
So, yeah, our next episode, we are going to review the classic Robin Williams animated movie, Aladdin.
Yes. I love Aladdin.
This is going to be a fun one.
Yes.
So we will kind of refresh the list on that one. I need to double check because I think we may have passed over 20 films, which means we need to re-roll our order.
Okay.
So we'll see what that looks like going forward.
We'll work on that.
All right. So come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
They can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron and Jacob's Daily Art Corner, my personal art Facebook page. On Twitter at Jacob B. Heron. On Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. And on Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. Where can they find you, Drew?
You can find me on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. You can also find my Facebook page at Drew's Photo Bin, where I upload my photography. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759 and Twitter at GGeorge759. Where can they find us, Jacob?
You can also visit our website, thecellcast.podbean.com, where you will find every episode we released and links to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Our RSS feed, if we aren't in your favorite podcast app directory, please share, review, and subscribe to us there and share us with your friends.
You will also find a link to our Facebook group, the Double Feature Podcast Community, where we talk about both animated and live-action movies. We share this with our other podcasts, which we do with Jacob's brother Jim, at the Movie of the Week podcast, where we talk about live-action movies. You can also email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please like our page on Facebook. We try to post about upcoming movies. If you comment on that movie's post before we record, we'll read your comments in the episode. And remember, every time we say The Cellcast, that is with a single L.